When finally we took control of Tetris in 1995, and we formed the Tetris company, the first thing we did is we standardized Tetris across all platforms. We say to every licensee, says, look, your game has to be better than any other game that's come before, and yet has to contain Tetris. And so as a result, Tetris improves over time. I mean, we treated Tetris like Disney treats Mickey Mouse. You know, so the colors had to be exact, the rotation had to be exact, the timing had to be exact, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you look at the old Tetris, Tetris on Game Boy, Tetris on Sega, they were completely different. On the Game Boy, when a piece drops, you can rotate it as it's falling, and that's visual rotation. It actually looks like it's rotating on a spot. If you land the T-piece on its back, then it's stuck. There's no way you can rotate it anymore. On the Sega, if you rotate that T-piece as it's falling, it looks like it's jumping around in a little circle. It's not rotating on a spot. You can drop it, and then you can still rotate it once it's landed. It actually has to jump up to be able to rotate. On the Game Boy, you do all your thinking while the piece is falling, and on the Sega, you drop it, and then you do your thinking. It's just a different way to play the same game. So I came up with a rotation system we call it super rotation. And the way super rotation works is while it's falling, we do visual rotation, which is the Game Boy rotation. Then once the piece has landed and this doesn't work anymore, then it'll try this. And so what we did was we created a rotation system that could accept both players from both systems, because before that they couldn't cross over. They were just too different.
And over time, there's something like called a T-spin, where you can do the same thing with the T-piece, and like if you put the T-piece in the right space and clear lines, then it has the same score as the Tetris 4 line clears.
And we also had to create the bag system.
So you're not going to get stuck with like 7 Z pieces. That could happen, and then you're really messed up.
In the original Tetris, the pieces are completely random. I remember checking into a hotel. I said, "Oh yeah, you have something to do with Tetris?" Yeah. You know, it's watching me, and it doesn't give me the eyepiece when I need it. And I said, "It's completely random." I said, "No, it's not. It's definitely it's watching me." I said, "Sorry, I know exactly what it's doing. It's random." If you're waiting for the eyepiece, sometimes it doesn't come. The way the bag system works is that you have 7 tetraminos, you put them in a bag, you shuffle them, and then you pay them out. Then you put them back in the bag, shuffle them again. So then if you have an eyepiece come out, the worst situation is that it can be at the beginning of the first bag and at the end of the second bag. So that means, 13 pieces later, you're guaranteed to get an eyepiece.
So then you can start strategizing on how you play the game versus everything is up to luck.
It makes it more predictable. And so you could say that Tetris lost something, but because of the variance, we had to do it. In Tetris Worlds, we created 6 different versions of Tetris. 5 different ones. There's Tetris and then 5 variants. There were a whole bunch of things that we tried. We're here with Mark, with Alexei Pajitnov, looking at some of the Tetris Worlds games to see what can be done about improving them. Alexei has an opinion about everything. Some of them needed special rotation. One where if you clear a line, the pieces above fall down, and so you can get a cascade going. One of them, you made squares, 4x4 squares. You get extra points if you cleared a line that had part of a square in it. In order to do that, we needed to have a hold piece, because there's no way you can actually get enough pieces of. You would have to wait 2 cycles for that piece to come back. The bag system, it kind of stuck in there. I'm kind of like now we're having second thoughts because we're back to original Tetris. Why need the bag system? You could do a bigger bag, maybe a double bag, in which case you could have or just no bag. In 2002, I started my mobile phone game company called Blue Lava Wireless. And the reason I started it was because we were trying to license Tetris to a US company. And the biggest upfront guarantee we got from anybody was for $25,000. It's like, dudes, you guys have no idea what's going to happen in this country. It's before camera phones. Camera phone means that you have a screen and you have a CPU that's strong enough to actually move graphics, which means you can make a computer game. Before that, it was all text. I decided, I'll do it myself. So I licensed Tetris, started a company, Blue Lava Wireless. The first phone company with games was Sprint. It was going to be Sprint. They were going to come out in June. And it's something like April. And I send my my sales guy, John Ray, to Sprint. I said, don't bother coming back until you get a deal, which was the same thing that I did. And sure enough, it took him something like 10 days. And of course, we had the #1 game. And then I sold my company with worldwide rights to Tetris for mobile phones to Jamdat for 15 years. And the reason I picked 15 years is nobody has a spreadsheet that goes past 10 years. So 15 years, nobody cares what happens then. It's got to be 1999 when things started to fall apart. Belikov and I were not agreeing to any deals. I would have a vote, Belikov would have a vote. And if it's a yes, then the license goes through. If it's a yes-no or a no-no, the license doesn't go through. My advisor says, buy him out. I said, buy him out? What are you talking about? He doesn't have any rights. And it says, read my lips, buy him out. Mobile phone game Tetris is going to come to a halt. And who knows what's going to happen to the industry while you decide to fight up because you're right. I asked Mr. Belikov, so how much do you want? And he gave me a number, and I got that money and bought him out. Everything ended in 2005.
I see, yeah.
That's when I bought out Belikov.
Yeah.
That's when I bought Elorg. Yeah, we should revive Elorg.
We should claim the building, yes. It's a nice building, not far from my place in Moscow, by the way.
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
No, they don't owe it. The first thing they cash it out is the building, I'm pretty sure.
I see. Yeah, otherwise it would have been more money.
Exactly.
I grew up around video games in Japan, and my parents were in video games, and that really affected me, right, as a child.
When she was 15, I asked her, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, I don't know, but I want to make more money than you. I said, okay, deal. I'll take care of you now, and when I get old, you make more money than me, then you take care of me. I'll go and play golf.
Right after college, I went to work for a big company because my mom wanted me to go work for a big company. It's what we do, Japanese people. So I went to work at American Honda. So there I was working on physical cars. And then my dad would come into town for different video game events.
I knew Ken Kutaragi at the time, and I introduced him at Sony Party at E3. They had the big Sony parties.
And I met a producer there and basically kind of got poached to go work for him. The first game I worked on was Gran Turismo 4. And so I went from working on physical cars to working on virtual cars. And I just remember the first day coming into Sony PlayStation and sitting at my desk, I just felt like, wow, this is where I need to be. And so I worked at PlayStation for a few years, and I went back to get my MBA.
She went and got her master's, which I never did.
My dad, at 52, he had a heart attack. He had a major heart attack and almost died. And I wanted to work with him. I wanted to learn from him.
I worked for my father, and I hated it. He never did any accounting. He never paid any taxes. He never listened to me. I wanted to do things properly. I wanted to create a system for it. He wouldn't have it. When he eventually died, nobody knew what was going on. The business evaporated. So I told my kids, I have 4 kids, I don't want you working for me. I don't need you to work for me because I had a bad relationship with my dad working with him. I'm not forbidding it. I'm just not suggesting it. If you end up working for me and we somehow don't get along as a family, you're fired. Because, I can always hire somebody with your talents, but I can't get another family member. That's a limited resource. So under those conditions, Maya joined the company anyway.
And so that was probably 15 years ago that I came and joined the family business officially. The business that my parents had was called Bulletproof Software. That was BPS growing up. That's what I remember. And then when they moved the business to the States, it became Blue Planet Software. Especially the company eventually moved to Hawaii. And now we're called Tetris because essentially that's what we do. The reason why we're based in Hawaii is because we have family roots here. This is where my parents met when they were in university. And this is really home for us.
I moved my family to Hawaii when Maya was 11 years old. I think the cutoff time for you to learn a new language completely is somewhere around 11.
We're also between Asia and the West, and America and Europe, and so we're able to do business both sides of the aisle. The fact that we chose Hawaii was for our family and to showcase that we can live and choose where we want to be. Tetris is unique that it's still privately owned. It was never bought or it was never sold to a big company. It's been really important for me to try to expand the brand beyond video games, but really make it a lifestyle brand. We might work with Uniqlo or Puma to do merchandising. Tetris, McNuggets, it's funky, right? We really didn't know the culture phenomena that it was gonna have. That's a perfect example of I wasn't crazy about it, but let's try it out. So anything that touches the brand, we manage. We always consult with Hank and Alexi.
That means that time is up or something like that. Oh, no, oh.
They own the game together, so everything that we do that's major to the brand, especially when it comes to game design and moving things forward, we do get them involved.
She was made to be the boss.
but the story goes back to 2001. I was in Sega. When I finished making Reds, I wanted to try the concept of the synesthesia experience, but the puzzle game. So soon after I left Sega, I went to Hank for advice. I'm thinking the concept, new game design concept, like Tetris meets Reds. Hank's reaction was, "Oh, that's fantastic idea." So, but that was a licensing issue. He was like, "We should work together in the future." So we decided to make the new game at the launch title for PSP. So that was Luminous. When I founded Enhance in 2014, I met Hank again. What if like that? What if the new Tetris coming? What kind of Tetris? What kind of future Tetris like that? He spoke to me very passionately about the Tetris players' zone states in a Zen feeling. And he said to me, "Gucci, you could do it. Why couldn't you?" He said. Then I traveled to Hawaii many times with Ishihara, who became the director and art director of the project. And we, two of us, created a game concept together. And much of the inspiration of the Tetris effect came from our stay in the island of Hawaii. When I think about the idea of Tetris effects, my past experience, like I love to watch Tetris in arcade. I love to watch and I love to feel that kind of atmosphere. If the people watching this game around, how can we move them? The player wants to focus the game, watching just blocks, but the people in the gallery, people watching the people can watch temptations like the fish transformed to Mantley. Well, after that, you can watch Earth in a space. Yeah, that kind of design, first person and third person. Yeah, from the beginning of the project, we tried to find some of the new feature elements, like to boost the zone feel. Zone mode, that was really tough to create, and we had many tests and experiments, but we couldn't have the big confidence. This is it. And we decided to extend development, 3 months. We promised with Hank. So Hank told me, please make a new Tetris game using and boosting that kind of a zone feel. In our mind, we all the time, how can we make the Zen feeling? What is Zen? It's like that kind of experience, we dive into the pool and the ocean, like suddenly like a boom. The time stopped and the sound disappeared. So no place, no time. Then how many lines you can make. That was very successful. And finally, we could find, oh, this is it. That was an amazing process of the production. So that was a very good thing to make, Tetris, using Tetris and making the new thing. That was a very fantastic project to me.
Tetris movie came about around the same time that we were actually working on the Tetris sci-fi movie. And that movie ended up not happening, but a famous director said, hey, I want to make the Tetris movie, the biopic. From the very beginning, from the script writing stage, we were involved. And there was probably a couple of documentaries in the past that were out, like the BBC one, that kind of showcased like how amazing and interesting the story of Tetris was, right? And so anybody hearing that, like, it made sense. Like, there's this crazy American Dutch guy goes to the Soviet Union on a tourist visa and tries to track down the Ministry of Games to get the rights. The friendship that formed between Hank Rogers and Alexei Pajitnov that ultimately brought Tetris to the rest of the world. And now we have a whole new generation of Tetris players that maybe have never played, but their touch point was the movie.
I think our friendship goes deeper than our individual interest.
Hank and Alexei are so different.
You should help me with the... Yeah. Turn it! Come on! Don't you see my piece?
What are you talking about? No, you can't put it there. You
I
can't
can.
reach.
Yeah,
Just
I
put it
can.
there. Yeah, here you go. Alexei, if you put him next to a music box, he'll be listening to classic music, and I'll be listening to rock.
Hank is an extrovert.
Tetris tastes much better than Cosmos. Is this Cosmos?
Alexei is not an extrovert.
The movies that he likes and the movies that I like are just different. Everything is kind of like that.
I brought my racquetball racket. Hey,
And the only problem is that there's no racquetball courts in Moscow.
They're as different as you can get. I can say this because Hank's my father, right? So I can say some things that some people would never say. Hank is crazy. My dad is out there. He is the original, like, the most interesting man in the world. He'll do things that nobody would do. So that's him, right? He went to the Soviet Union on a tourist visa. Alexei is not crazy.
I don't know about him, but I always want to understand why such a ridiculous thing pleases him.
Hank loves the attention. Alexei doesn't want the attention. He's very like traditional, you know, like very Russian in his thinking, and Hank is like very Western American thinking.
His weak spot is a fish named herring. His Dutch soul just give up in front of herring plate, you know. He even find out the very far, very shabby German restaurant in San Francisco, kind of.
Come on, it's not shabby.
40-minute drive from the place just because the herring is there. In Russian culture, it's always the cheapest fish cut in piece on the piece of newspaper, which it used to eat after vodka. So all alcoholics is their main kind of snack, lowest level possible kind of food.
My favorite sushi is also, you know, the cheapest sushi. It's mackerel. It's saba.
Yes,
And so that's
almost herring.
it's like the cheapest.
But they have this common bond, this common language, and they completely have this trust in each other.
But we, you know, like we did the high school boys trip to Europe, the two of us, meaning we got Eurail passes. We just landed in Amsterdam. He likes to plan things and have everything decided, and I like to just adventure. Let's get on the train and see where it takes us. To reduce the stress, he would get one day and then I would get one day, and so we took turns. And on the day that, you know, it was his turn, he would figure out where we're going to stay, get the whole itinerary planned, and we would follow that itinerary. When it was me, let's get on the train. When we get there, we'll figure out where we're going to stay.
Yeah, wonderful trip.
Yeah, it was great, actually.
They're both brilliant, but their personalities are so different, right?
If we're in the same jurisdiction, in the same city, every other day, bottle of wine, dinner, and we have this this tradition. So, is it your turn or my turn?
Probably mine. Yeah, mine.
It's his business card cut in half, and it says Henk on it. He pays for dinner,
Yeah, and give it.
and then gives me the paper, and then I
or
have
not
it.
forget whose turn is
And
it.
then I pay for dinner, and I give him the piece of paper. That's how we keep track of whose turn it is to pay for dinner. Gee, no.
Oh, sorry, that's my fault.
Time up.
Time up.
All right. Okay. All right. Hey, good game.
Absolutely.
I believe that Tetris will be here forever. Alexei really created the perfect game.
Have maybe dozen, maybe 14 different reasons why it's outstanding game, and it's kind of very rare combination of very small traits which somehow strangely come together in one title. It's like a miracle.
Now we have VR and AR, and we don't want to really get stuck in the past.
We don't know the future, but if I have a chance, I want to create the new experience using Tetris, using new technology, new devices.
We're trying to take more risks, Tetris is I had to take a deep breath because it means so much to me. It's not just a game for me, it's family, it's our culture. Tetris to me is joy.
I think we're only now getting around to figuring out why it is that Tetris is so, how can I say, soothing, if you will. I think it's a way to calm your mind down before you start your day and then after you're done with your day. So I think what Tetris can do and what Tetris does is it takes you into a zone. Your conscious mind is absorbed in Tetris and your subconscious mind is free to wander. And that's a relaxed state. It's sort of like electronic meditation, if you will. And Tetris is the perfect game for that.
Previous research by Oxford Psychological Lab shows that Tetris is very useful to get rid of flashback in PTSD situations. So it's really helpful. So we have really good hopes on it.
There's a lot of trauma in the world. If we can make a dent in this trauma, then maybe we can make the world a better place.
I still consider Tetris as a pure entertainment. One of the best electronic game which provide you happiness from the screen.
We just recently had a game player beat Tetris.
Oh my god!
We never thought that would be possible, but that's Tetris.
Some games has a really long life. Look at chess, it's about 1,000-year-old game.
Tetris is the one game that's still going to be around when all the other games are gone.
If we can keep providing Tetris and keep providing joy, then I will feel like I've accomplished something.
That's the realization of my dream. Enjoy, play Tetris. And be ready for Tetris very soon. Sora, be ready. Boom. We got it.